Have you ever had someone do something mildly nice for you?
Oh,
Like say a coworker walks just a little out of their way to hand you a file, right?
right.
And suddenly your brain just starts writing a whole romantic comedy about what it means.
Oh, absolutely. The lighting shifts,
Yeah.
a soundtrack starts playing in your head,
Exactly.
and suddenly this, a simple handoff feels like this profound gesture of destiny or something.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Overanalyzing a completely mundane interaction.
Right. It is so incredibly common, which is why today's deep dive is going to be so fascinating. We are unpacking a stack of philosophical and psychological notes today.
Yeah, and they're really dense, but so good.
So good. And they explore the hidden mechanics of these exact types of daily micro interactions.
Mm.
The core mission of our deep dive today is to decode the difference between genuine connection and manufactured assumption.
Which is a huge distinction.
A really big distinction. And we're going to look at a practical framework for maintaining our emotional boundaries without sacrificing our empathy.
Right.
And we're even going to explore how a minor kindness at a reception desk might actually be the foundational building block for world peace.
It sounds like such a massive leap, right?
Yeah.
Going from a reception desk to global harmony.
It really does.
But the source material makes a deeply compelling, like a really mechanistic case for how these two extremes are intimately connected.
Connected through our daily habits.
Exactly.
So let's start right at the ground level with the author's core narrative.
Okay.
It's this very grounding anecdote about a highly forgettable moment. The author's at a clinic,
Right?
sitting in a waiting room, and someone from the reception desk walks over specifically to bring a file directly to them.
Yeah.
On the surface, it's what, a 10-second interaction?
A complete blip in the day. Just a blip.
Yeah.
But this blip triggers a profound realization for the author about how human trust is actually formulated.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this is where I want to introduce an analogy that I think it helps visualize the author's point.
I love this analogy, yeah.
I like to think of our daily interactions as a social bank account.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to look for massive deposits, right? The grand gestures, the big emotional confessions.
Dramatic sacrifices.
Exactly, the dramatic sacrifices. We think that is how trust is built. But the source text argues that genuine trust is actually built on microdeposits.
That social bank account metaphor perfectly captures what the author realized in that waiting room.
Yeah.
Because when that file was handed over, it wasn't some spontaneous act of, unprecedented kindness.
Right.
It was the result of a long, completely unrecorded accumulation of the author's own microdeposits leading up to that day.
The text calls it an invisible resume.
Yes, the invisible resume. And this invisible resume is being written
But
constantly.
every day.
Every single day. It's the habit of saying thank you naturally. It's making genuine eye contact instead of, staring at your phone when you approach a desk.
Oh, I am so guilty of that sometimes.
We all are, right.
Mm.
But it's reading the room and not interrupting someone who is clearly overwhelmed. And perhaps most critically, it's the practice of not taking your own bad moods out on unrelated people.
Which is incredibly hard to do.
It is.
If you've had a terrible commute, the person on your reception desk usually gets the brunt of that residual frustration. We treat them like, I don't know, like an NPC in a video game rather than a person.
Right, and people intuitively register when they're being treated as disposable.
They can feel it.
They absolutely feel it.
Yeah.
What is mechanically happening here is that our baseline attitude is communicated long before we ever form a sentence.
Wow.
Like microexpressions, vocal tone, the physical distance we maintain,
Posture, right?
posture, whether our shoulders are tense or relaxed. These physiological cues bleed into our environment.
Oh, okay.
So the author realizes that this receptionist bringing the file might just be the environment reflecting back the author's own accumulated microdeposits of respect.
The environment reflects the energy you've been putting into it.
Exactly.
If you spend months showing someone that they are safe around you, that you won't snap at them if they make a mistake,
Yeah.
they are naturally going to gravitate toward you.
Because you have created an atmosphere of psychological safety. The receptionist almost certainly didn't have a conscious thought process of, oh, this patient has a high balance in their social bank account.
Right, right. Therefore, I will deliver this file.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. It's an intuitive, subconscious draw toward a safe presence.
But, and this is a critical pivot in the source material.
Mm.
While it is fantastic that our good behavior gets rewarded with this kind of safety and reciprocity, Receiving that kindness triggers a very dangerous mental trap for a lot of us.
Oh, yeah, it really does.
The trap of overinterpreting the gesture.
The romantic comedy brain takes over, like you mentioned earlier.
It really does. The author details this trap perfectly.
Yeah.
They list the specific clues their brain immediately tried to piece together to build a narrative. The person wasn't wearing earphones. They came directly to the author.
Right.
There were plenty of other patients around in the waiting room, but this receptionist bypassed all of them and chose the author.
Our brains are, at their core, prediction machines.
Okay, prediction machines.
Yeah. Evolutionarily speaking, humans are wired to detect patterns because missing a social cue could historically mean, missing out on an essential alliance or a mate.
Wow, so it's deep-rooted.
It is deep. So when someone bypasses a crowded waiting room to hand you a file, your amygdala lights up and says, pattern detected. We're special to them.
We are the chosen one.
Right. It's a survival mechanism misfiring in a modern clinic. We take neutral facts and we string them together to support a highly emotionally charged conclusion.
But wait, let me challenge this a bit. Yeah.
Why shouldn't we hope it means they like us? What is the actual harm in feeling a little thrill and thinking, hey, maybe I'm special to them? It feels totally harmless.
It feels harmless in the moment, but the source makes a very crucial distinction here about emotional sustainability.
Okay.
There is a massive mechanical difference between validating an internal emotion and projecting an external reality.
Internal emotion versus external reality. Okay, tell me how the source separates those two.
So validating your internal emotion means acknowledging, I was really happy they came over.
Okay.
I felt seen. I felt a little spark of joy.
Right, that's just how you feel.
Exactly. That is your truth.
Yeah.
That is biologically and emotionally real. The danger, the actual harm we were talking about, comes when you project an external reality onto the other person.
Oh, I see.
When you say they bypassed the other patients and weren't wearing earphones, therefore they must have special romantic feelings for me.
So
Yeah.
you're writing a script for them without their consent. Precisely. You are assigning meaning to every neutral detail.
Mm.
And by doing so, you are forcing this independent human being into a fictional narrative you've created entirely in your own head.
Wow.
You are no longer interacting with the receptionist.
You're interacting with a character you invented.
Exactly.
And that character is burdened with your expectations.
I can see how that leads to emotional exhaustion. Because what happens when they don't act like the character in your script the following week?
Right.
What happens when you go back to the clinic and they just give you a standard polite nod?
You feel crushed. You feel rejected by a relationship that never actually existed outside your own mind.
That is such a huge point.
And that hangover is entirely avoidable, though, which is why this distinction is such a vital tool for the listener. The text advises us to accept the kindness simply as kindness.
Just take the deposit for what it is. Don't assume they are trying to merge bank accounts.
That's a great way to put it. Yes,
Yeah.
You don't have to squash the joy of the moment. Feel the joy,
But strip away the crushing weight of false expectations.
Hmm.
If you don't jump to the conclusion that they're in love with you, you don't have to feel devastated when it turns out they were just doing their job.
You maintain the joy without the emotional whiplash.
Exactly.
Accept the kindness as kindness. I love that. But it requires an immense amount of mental discipline.
Oh, totally.
Because if we strip away the romantic assumptions and the expectation that we're going to get some special, personalized reward for being a good person,
Right.
what is the actual baseline for how we should treat people? This leads us to one of the most provocative concepts in our source material today.
Yes, we have to talk about this.
A concept they call correct love, or in Japanese, tadashi ai.
This is perhaps the most challenging and transformative concept in the entire text. It requires a complete paradigm shift in how we view our obligations to other people.
And just to clarify for everyone listening, correct love in this context is not about romantic love at all.
Not at all, no.
It's about extending basic human dignity to everyone, and I mean everyone.
Literally everyone.
The author talks about extending it to a rival, someone you might normally compete with or compare yourself to. You wish for their happiness without needing them to validate you.
Or like you.
Right. Or even reciprocate the goodwill.
It's a love that is entirely decoupled from reward.
Mhm.
It's a stance you take on how you will interact with humanity, regardless of how humanity interacts with you.
Yep.
It's your baseline operating system.
Which sounds beautiful on a theoretical level.
Right.
But let's bring this down to reality, because I have to push back here.
Bring it on.
It is really easy to be nice to the friendly person bringing you a file. It's easy to extend correct love when the stakes are low,
Sure.
but the source explicitly mentions dealing with black-hearted people, people who are outwardly rude or manipulative or completely disrespectful.
The people who try to overdraw your social bank account.
Yes, exactly. If I am extending correct love to a toxic boss or a manipulative coworker, aren't I just being a doormat? How is that not just an invitation to be abused?
That is the immediate visceral fear everyone has when they hear this concept.
Yeah, it feels unsafe.
We equate extending love with dropping our defenses. But if we look at the mechanics of what the author is saying, correct love absolutely does not mean accepting abuse. It's about recognizing where your power actually lies.
Okay, let's use a highly specific scenario.
Let's do it.
Let's say I'm in a marketing meeting and a coworker blatantly takes credit for a slide deck I spent 3 weeks building.
Ouch. Okay.
They just steal my idea right in front of the boss. If I just smile, wish for their happiness, and walk away, I look incredibly weak and my career suffers.
Right.
How does correct love apply there without making me a pushover?
In that scenario, correct love does not mean you let them steal your work.
Okay, good.
You absolutely must address it. You step in and correct the record. You might say, I'm glad you like the deck I put together. Let me walk the team through the underlying data I used.
Oh, nice.
You draw a firm professional boundary. You decline their fraudulent transaction.
But I'm still defending myself.
You are defending your work and your boundaries, yes. But here is where correct love changes the equation. You do it without attacking their fundamental human dignity.
Okay, wait, explain that.
You correct the action, but you do not internally declare that your coworker is a worthless piece of garbage.
Oh, I see.
You don't spend the rest of the day gossiping to other colleagues trying to destroy their reputation. You don't wish for their personal life to fall apart.
So it's the difference between saying, your action was unacceptable and I won't allow it, versus saying, you are an inherently bad person.
Precisely. It means choosing your behavior over the animal instinct to retaliate in kind.
Wow.
If you only act with dignity toward people who are nice to you, then your character is entirely dependent on the behavior of strangers or toxic coworkers. You are just a mirror reflecting their mood.
Oh, that is so true.
Practicing correct love is saying, I refuse to let a manipulative person turn me into a manipulative person.
I refuse to let a rude person turn me into a rude person. That is incredibly powerful for my own sanity. I protect my own internal standard of who I want to be.
Exactly.
But if I just defend my boundary and walk away without retaliating, does it actually change anything in the broader environment? Because the author suggests this isn't just about self-preservation, right?
No, it's not.
It actually triggers a broader mechanic.
It triggers what the author refers to as the contagion of love.
The ripple effect. The text argues that treating one person with dignity, even when correcting them, means they might walk away and speak a little more softly to the next person they interact with.
Right.
And that second person feels a bit lighter, so they listen better to a third person.
We rarely get to see the end result of those ripples. But the text asks us to look at the inverse, which we see all the time.
Right.
Hostility is incredibly contagious. Think of how one aggressively angry driver can infect a whole highway, causing a chain reaction of road rage.
Oh, for sure.
If negativity is mechanically contagious in a social ecosystem, dignity and respect must also be contagious.
And the source takes this ripple effect to its absolute most extreme logical conclusion.
They really do.
They bring up world peace. Specifically, the text talks about wishing for the happiness of a gangster on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
When I first read that, I thought the author had lost the plot. Going from a clinic reception desk to a global crime syndicate feels way, way too idealistic.
It is a jarring example.
Yeah.
And it's meant to be. It forces us to test the absolute limits of this philosophy.
Right.
But if we break down the mechanics of dehumanization, this gangster analogy actually holds the entire framework together.
How so? How does wishing a gangster well connect to world peace?
Think about the prerequisite for any major conflict or atrocity in human history.
Okay.
Before you can commit violence on a massive scale, you first have to categorize a group of people as subhuman. You have to divide humanity into two columns, those worthy of human dignity and those whose existence is worthless.
You have to strip away their humanity to justify treating them terribly.
Exactly. So if we apply that to the gangster, if we say, this person commits crimes, therefore they are a monster and they do not deserve basic human dignity.
Yeah.
Our desire for peace has just become conditional. We're basically saying we only want peace for the people who meet our moral standards.
Which isn't really world peace, it's just a heavily guarded, gated community.
Oh, that's a perfect way to phrase it. And that is the trap. The author is arguing that we can and absolutely must strictly condemn the gangster's actions.
All right, they still need to be stopped.
We must have systems to stop violence and enforce laws, but the exact moment we declare their underlying existence as worthless, we have picked up the tools of dehumanization.
Wow.
Once you establish that some people don't deserve basic human dignity, it's just a matter of who holds the pen to draw the line.
Because if the line can be drawn at a gangster, it can eventually be drawn at a political opponent or a rival nation or a neighbor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This raises the ultimate question of the text. Where does world peace actually originate? The source argues it isn't just born at a political summit or in a treaty.
Right.
It starts in the micro moments. It starts with whether you make eye contact at a reception desk or how you internally process a coworker stealing your idea.
Yeah.
The way you view the humanity of the person directly in front of you is practice for how you view the humanity of the globe.
The macro is just a reflection of the micro.
Yes.
If you can't practice correct love when someone cuts you off in line at the grocery store, you aren't going to magically be able to practice it on a geopolitical scale.
You won't have the mental infrastructure for it. You will default to categorization and retaliation.
This all sounds incredibly noble, but we have to bring this back down to the ground, to the reality of, Tuesday morning at the office.
Back to the real world.
Right. Acknowledging that aiming for this global ideal through daily actions is difficult, we have to look at the real-world friction of living this way. It is not the path of least resistance.
Far from it. It can actually be quite isolating.
Think about the social dynamics of most workplaces.
Oh, yeah.
If you refuse to join in on the office gossip about a manager, or if you don't celebrate when a rival department misses their quarterly goals, you can easily look naive.
You could look like a Pollyanna.
Exactly. Bond building through shared hatred or shared grievances is a very real, very common human dynamic.
It really is.
It takes a massive amount of courage to be the one floating outside the norm, refusing to participate in tearing someone else down.
The source deeply acknowledges that feeling of floating, of being out of sync with a community that might thrive on conflict or cynical humor.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But this is also where the author makes a vital clarification to ensure the listener doesn't burn out trying to be a saint.
Okay, what's the clarification?
We talked about not being a doormat earlier, but we need to talk about the danger of martyrdom.
The trap of self-sacrifice.
Practicing equal, correct love is absolutely not self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
You cannot overdraw your own social bank account to indefinitely fund someone else's dysfunction.
Because if you just absorb everyone's toxicity and smile through it, telling yourself you are maintaining peace, what actually happens inside you?
You build a toxic, pressurized reservoir of hidden anger.
Oh, I've seen that happen.
We all have. Believing you must endure terrible treatment for the sake of love only destroys you from the inside out. True equality in this context means treating yourself with the exact same unshakable dignity you are trying to extend to others.
Right.
You cannot offer genuine respect to the world if you are simultaneously allowing yourself to be abused.
So, synthesizing all of this into a practical approach for our listener, it sounds like a complex balancing act.
It is a balance.
Do what you can. Politely decline the fraudulent transactions you can't accept. Take space from toxic people, but do it without using degrading words internally or externally.
You keep your boundaries firm, but you never lose your respect for the baseline value of humanity.
Yeah.
You can fire someone who isn't doing their job. You can break up with a partner.
Right.
You can walk away from a highly toxic family member. You can do all of these difficult things while maintaining strict boundaries, but you don't have to strip them of their human worth on your way out the door.
You execute the boundary with firmness, but without malice.
Exactly.
That is such a challenging, but ultimately freeing framework. It takes so much pressure off.
It really does.
You don't have to fix the toxic person, and you don't have to destroy them to feel safe. You just have to protect your own standard of behavior.
And by doing so, you contribute a micro deposit of stability and dignity to the world, rather than a micro deposit of chaos and retaliation.
So, looking back at our mission today, what started as an analysis of a small kindness at a clinic desk, a potential rom-com plot in our overactive, pattern-seeking brains,
Right.
it actually serves as a mirror. It's a mirror reflecting our boundaries, our accumulated daily habits, and our ultimate commitment to a broader human dignity.
Yeah.
The invisible resume we are building every single day isn't just about getting people to like us. It's
Yeah.
about the kind of psychological environment we are quietly constructing with every single interaction.
That invisible resume is being updated in real time. Every time we speak, every time we choose to actively listen, and especially every time we choose how to react to a slight or an insult.
It really changes the weight of whatever interaction you're going to have next today.
It does. And if I could leave the listener with one final provocative thought that builds on everything we've unpacked from the source material today.
Oh, please do.
We spent this entire deep dive talking about how this invisible resume and the practice of correct love impacts the people around us and the world at large.
Right, the external stuff.
We've talked about the receptionist, the idea-stealing
Yeah.
coworker, the gangster,
Yeah.
but consider the mechanics of your own mind.
Yeah.
What is the cumulative effect of these actions on your own internal monologue? If you spend years practicing this, drawing firm lines at bad actions, but never ever writing off a person's underlying value, how does that fundamentally change the way you react when you are the one who makes a mistake?
Oh, wow.
When you fail a project or snap at a friend?
You apply the same baseline to yourself.
Exactly. If you've trained your brain for decades to meticulously separate a person's worth from their worst actions, you will instinctively apply that same grace to yourself when you stumble.
That is incredible.
Perhaps the ultimate beneficiary of this correct love isn't just the receptionist handing you the file or the gangster across the globe, but the flawed, trying human being looking back at you in the mirror.